This gorgeous plant is Kalanchoe fedtschenkoi Variegata, also known as Bryophyllum fedtschenkoi Variegata. I thought you might want to learn a little bit more about this plant. Join me.
Liquid Amber Girl Gardening.
When I was originally doing my research to give you some information about this plant, I had always known it to be a Kalanchoe. And so I was rather surprised when I kept finding different references to this plant actually also being called a Bryophyllum. So first of all, I guess we should talk about what is the genus of a plant. Most often, when you look at a plant label, you'll find two names on it. This is not the case on this one, so I'm going to cover up what I don't want you to look at right yet. This Senecio is the genus. It's capitalized, and it's at the first of two names. So we always know that the Senecio is the genus. The not capitalized Haworthii is the specific epithet. Together, Senecio Haworthii is the species of this plant. This plant comes from Altman plants, and what they do is they put this is the common name, cocoon plant, before giving you the species, which we know the species is Senecio and Haworthii together. Here is a plant label that is a little bit different. So it's this really sweet little Echeveria called Green Goddess. And this label, if you notice, Green Goddess is capitalized and it's in between single quotations, which means it's a cultivar of some kind. We also have that same thing going on over here, a capitalized name in between single quotations. Hagiana. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I said that right. So what we're going to look at though first is the genus, which is right there, Echeveria. It's capitalized, it's not within any quotations. And we do already know probably that Echeveria is definitely a very large genus. There are tons of plants in that group. So this label isn't exactly the same as the other. It does not give us a specific epithet. Therefore, we don't have a species listing here. It does say on the label, though, which I do like when they do this, that this was a hybrid of, and it has capital E period, which is an abbreviation for Echeveria, because we know that that's what this plant is. So Echeveria agavoides was crossed with Echeveria harmsii, which is the little pretty ruby slippers. And that's what developed this pretty thing. I hope that was helpful. Maybe it was even more confusing than helpful. Either way, let me know in the comments section below. I'm not really sure why this plant is considered to be in two different genus. I have no idea. Or actually, probably the plural of genus is genera, I think. You can correct me down in the comments if you know the answer to that. But anyway, whatever the reason, this is a super gorgeous plant to own. Kalanchoe, which is what I'm going to call it, or just Lavender Scallops to keep things simple, can grow about 1 to 2 feet tall, and as you can see by the little roots that it puts out, these will not always stay standing. Most likely these stems are going to tip over, at least in nature, and try to grow that way, so it propagates kind of by spreading across the ground, the way a lot of our succulents tend to do. I don't know if the Bryophyllum genus has a lot of poisonous plants, but this one, like many or even all of the Kalanchoes I've ever experienced, are considered to be poisonous, and this is no exception. I don't think it's highly toxic, but why risk it? If you have young children or animals that are curious in your household, you should probably take extra care to keep this one out of their reach. Something that I thought was really interesting about the name of this plant, and a good reason for having a name that is so difficult to pronounce, fedtschenkoi, is that name, that specific epithet, comes from a Russian botanist called Boris Fedtchenko, who was actually the director of the Imperial Botanic Garden in St. Petersburg. And so that name was given, or a specific epithet was given to this plant to honor that man. The common name Lavender Scallops is really obvious when you're looking at this particular plant, although I would almost call it like fluorescent pink. But anyway, when they are in bright light, the scalloped edges of the leaves, which can fade all the way down to like a creamy white color, become very bright lavender or pink. This plant does have blooms, but they're not nearly as showy as these fantastic leaves. They're just, I would call them like a brownish pink color, and they're a bell shape, kind of similar to maybe an aloe bloom. So nothing too fantastic. Really, the value of this plant is 100% in these gorgeous leaves. I'm really in love with this one.
Liquid amber girl. Liquid amber girl.